Okay, so this is going to be about module management mostly, and what it is and what it's going to be. And I called it the lady, the obsessive, and the module, because when I started working with module, I realized that I myself was lazy because I didn't want to handle module management by myself. I was obsessive because I didn't want any var outside of the smallest scope possible. And then I discovered modules, and it was great. Just a few words about me. I work in a French company that's called Neolane that you have probably never heard of about. You can find me on GitHub, and this talk is born from a project that's called shepherd.js, which is mostly a polyfill for Harmony modules. Harmony is the code name for ECMAScript 6, next version of JavaScript. So, to me, application development is like hiking. Your feet are going to hurt, your bag is going to be too heavy, you will have to go up and down the hills, but it will be fun, really beautiful, and you will enjoy it by the end. So you have to be prepared to handle 100,000 lines of code, which means minified, which includes dependency management, and you don't want to handle this. As an application developer, I need to test everything because in application you have something like big modules. Mostly if you work in, for example, if you work in finance or banking or stuff like that, so you have to test everything. You can't afford any mistake in your code. You must check for regression, stuff like that. And security. Still, if I take the banking, any global variable available, and so that's pretty much about it. So you have to wear some good shoes and use modules. What solutions do we have right now? Whoa. Sorry. Ah, too bad. Okay, I will definitely change my MacBook back in France. And okay, here we are. Right now, we have quite a lot of solutions. ext loader, YUI, every framework's implemented its own loading mechanism, which is good. But we can say that overall, the great winner is AMD, which stands for Asynchronous Model Definition. It started with James Burke on require.js, and then I heard that Dojo is about to implement it in its loader, YUI also. ext is standing back from it, don't know why, but if someone can explain. I know it's a browser track, so I just wrote very, very little that when it comes to modules, CommonJS rules on the server. But that's something that a little bit annoys me, because I don't want to learn two formats. I don't want to learn two different formats when I work on the server or on the client. And fortunately, ECMA is about to release Harmony, which is ECMAScript 6, and there is a standard module definitions in it. And there is a lot of buzz about it, and in my opinion, it's just awesome. Before I go deep into it, I would just like to demystify a little bit what a module is. Because when I speak to it with my coworkers, friends, and stuff like that, they just look like that guy at first. So what the fuck this shit? A module accomplishes just one function and contains everything to accomplish this. That guy, Jürgen Haas, I just have no idea who he is. I just know he works for, he's very active in the Linux community, but I'm sorry, I don't know him. But the sentence is really true. Okay, this is basically what a module is. It just does one thing and provides you the API to do this, and it does it well. So in a more formal way, we can say that a module may have a name. It can be anonymous. It must be context-free, which means you have to define in your module what you need for it to run, but it can be, it must not need anything else. Which means once your module is well defined, you can just test it. And if you import explicitly, you can then use other imports and then mock them, and it's really great for testing purposes. It must have no impact from its imports or exports, apart from its import and export, which means there is absolutely nothing that it must. There is nothing that must depend on it. That it just does what it knows and nothing else. It may have dependencies and it may expose an API. Okay, that's quite clear. The most basic version is just this. We all know what it is. It's just an object literal, and basically it's an API. So, okay, if you want to work with module, you can just start with it. If you define a bunch of functions like a utility library for whatever it is, this can be considered as a module. If, of course, the functions you define do not interact with anything around in the scopes. There is a pattern also. By the way, thanks Garan for mentioning pack. I don't know where you are, but it's thank you. Thank you. The module pattern, okay, it's an IFI, so in implement immediately invoked function expression. So there is a function there. It's immediately called with dependencies. I don't know, is that my cursor here? Yeah, okay. So okay, these are the dependencies of my module, which I can find here. And this is my API. And of course, this is very private. Nobody can access this. And this is great because I can be sure that the answer will always be 42 and that will never change. This is written in stone right now, so it's pretty cool. So, okay, it's really pretty much about it. Yeah, about a module. But this is not what's important. I mean, what about global namespace pollution and dependency management? This is not the module to handle it. It's about the loader. And people are always confused about both. So I was speaking about ECMAScript harmony, so I'm just going to give you a little example of what it will look like. So you have an explicit module keyword with a name here. You have explicit imports from files. Okay, so here I import XHR template. This, of course, will be very private. I mean. And I will just export one function, and this will be my API. So it's mostly syntactic, but it is pretty great because at last we don't have to use require.js, for instance, to and use closures of closures to define everything. That's pretty cool. So once you run this code, you just have one function available. It's run, and it will get the data from the list XHR call, and then compile it to your view, I guess. No, I guess yeah, that's it. Okay. So there's just one I would like to add about this. When you import a file, it doesn't have to be written in with the module syntax. You can just write this import, export, and run, and all the code will be executed by the engine as a module. I mean, the whole chain scope will be brand new from your global scope. I mean, if you run it in the browser, you will have your global scope, and it will be forked, and empty. But it will be a brand new chain scope, and this will be run in that new chain scope, which means you have no risk of polluting any of your global browser scope. And that's just a brilliant idea from ECMA to have thought about that. Okay, so what's good about it? It's native. you don't have to use anything else. So to have a module management, the loading is made automatically. You don't have to require curl, and every module management does the work really good. But this is native, so in my opinion, it's really good. There's a new feature. We should use it. If you keep aside from this upcoming feature, to me, it's like saying, okay, I don't want to use array.prototype.bind, I say, or function.prototype.bind or array.prototype.forEach. I say, okay, why? Why? If you have any polyfills available, because this is where the thing is going to be hard. Because if you run the previous code on your current browser, I can promise you that it will never work, and you know that. By the way, there are some beginning of implementation in Chrome, and they are not really efficient right now, but it's a good start. It's a good start. So as I said, imports are evaluated on their own scope chain, and that's awesome. Nested modules and custom loaders, and now this is where it's getting really interesting. What is a module loader? Okay, it's just a bunch of code that takes care of having all your dependencies loaded just when it's needed. I mean, it's not. So it must resolve dependencies. It must inject dependencies in the loaded modules. It must not expose the modules publicly, of course. Expose its own NPI, and it should have an adaptive behavior. I didn't know how to write it down, but I mean that you should be able to use custom loaders. For instance, if you need to, in your testing purposes, if you need to do code coverage, if you need to do static analysis, if you need to, if you want to inject CoffeeScript, you should be able to push just your files, and your loaders will handle that and will produce executable JavaScript code, and that is going to be that's just what's going to happen, because with the custom loaders in Harmony, you will be able to control every 3 steps of the loading process, which is resolution. I mean, has the file already been loaded or not? Fetching, getting the contents, and translation, transforming the contents of the file. So I take the testing purposes. In testing, you can, in the resolution part, you can say, okay, I want a fresh context every time. So I want to hack the resolution to use a callback to say, okay, the file has never been loaded. Whatever happened before. So okay, that's pretty cool. Fetching, I'm going to fetch the file, okay, but I don't want the file as it is located at the URL, but I want to fetch another one, which is a mock. So okay, that's cool. And translation, as I said, you can instrument your code, so you can have code coverage. You can convert CoffeeScript to plain vanilla JavaScript. And I mean, I've been working in for static analysis tools the latest months, and I was just looking for something like that. I could never have found it, but it's just the thing I want. And so now I know there's someone from Google here. If you please can tell them to push the implementation of the Harmony modules to the browser, this would be really great, because the whole world of development will change. There will be new patterns. There will be new methods and everything, new tools, and it will be just really awesome. But unfortunately, there will be some traps, and there are actually some traps to that. Those traps it's still a proposal. I mean, when I started working on the project Shepherd, it was like I've been to the official documentation with the grammar defining everything. I started working on it, implementing a parser, and then 2 days after, the whole syntax had been changed, and I was like, my God, we just screwed, I don't know, something like some days of my work, and I was just disappointed. But now it's getting stabilized, and There are 2 variants available. They did not decide yet which one to use, but it's going to be done in a few months. So we'll see. We'll see what they choose. I have my own preference, but I don't want to expose it right now. Trap is architecture. You have to take care of cyclic dependencies. I don't know, it's quite basic, but really when you deal with whole modules instead of just your, I don't know why, at least, yeah, but to me it seemed a little more difficult to handle cyclic dependencies with when handling modules. And of course backward compatibility with feature detection and polyfill, which is going to be really not so really difficult, it appears, because I've had an ID at the airport. In Harmony, you will have this. The MIME type will be text/Harmony, so you can easily feature detect if your browser, if your engine is Harmony compatible, which is very cool. And if not, then you can grab the text Harmony script tags, and then for each. Okay, I wrote here S6D, it's the keyword for Shepherd, my project, but if you can find any other polyfill, just give them a try, compare, and just tell me what is wrong with it or what is good with it. So it'll be cool. And if you ever want to play along with this, there are a few links with the official documentation, so you can have a look at it. Third-party tools, people are getting more and more interested in Harmony. I'm really interested in only modules, as you've said, but Esprima has a Harmony branch, which you can try by yourself the new syntax and see everything. Harmonizer is another polyfill, but it's a transpiler, so it's a build tool. So you can have AMD modules or plain vanilla JavaScript to run in your current browser. And Shepherd, by yours truly, which is a live polyfill in your browser, which comes also with, of course, with the compiler, with the transpiler, so you don't have to have it live, and so it can run in production smoothly. So that's okay. So you didn't listen to me. It doesn't matter. If you didn't listen to me, it doesn't matter. Sum it up. Be lazy. Your hub. Yeah, just read it. Use the module mostly. It will be perfect, and look ahead to ES6 and mostly ES6 modules, because it's coming. So thank you very much.
So I know we're all excited here. Lunch is coming, right? Next up, we